Hey everyone, I wanted to do a video today and I wanted to talk to you about creating your own spells. And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that do this, and then I'm sure there's some of you that's never tried it. And that's what I would like to talk to you about, is creating your own spells. And as you know, when I was a young girl, I first started learning of magic through my grandmother. But when I first started learning about it, I didn't understand that I was learning magic. We would be in the kitchen, and she would more or less be cooking, and she was more of a kitchen witch, I guess you could say. She was from the mountains, and a lot of the older people in her family refer to it as mountain magic. And I remember growing up, I would get teased, and I would get called a hillbilly, and a country bumpkin, a redneck. But I remember, you know, the hillbilly one really stuck with me, and I guess it was because my family was from the mountains, and being from the mountains weren't bad enough. It was, being from the southern mountains that made it that much worse. But I just remember, the older people calling it mountain magic. But I was always around it, and I heard, people talking of it so much that it didn't register in my mind that it was magic or witchcraft. It was just a way of life for me. It was just everyday, life. And I remember we would be in the kitchen, and she would usually be cooking something. There was always something cooking, and she would always have something on another burner going, and it was usually some type of magic workings. And she would explain to me what it was for, what it would do, what was in it, and like I said, I thought nothing of it. And when I first realized that there was something off, I guess you could say, or something different about my beliefs, was I was a little girl, and I used to always go out at night and sit on the swing. We had a swing in the front yard, and every night I would go out there and sit on that swing, and I would look up at the moon. I was just mesmerized by the moon. And sometimes, I would look around and make sure I was all by myself, and I would talk to the moon, and I would whisper, and sometimes I would sing, and sometimes I would just talk. And I remember my mom had come out on the porch, I guess, to see where I was at, because it was dark. And she stood there a few minutes listening to me. She heard me talking. And finally, she yelled my name. And she said, "Who are you talking to?" And I said, "No one." And she said, "Yeah, I see that. Who are you talking to?" And I said, "Myself." She said, "No, you're not." She said, "You're talking to the same person you talk to every night." She said, "But it's not a person." And I actually thought, she was understanding of what I was doing. So I said, yes, I was talking to the moon again. And this just enraged her. She did not like this one bit. She spanked my bottom. She dragged me in the house. She told me to quit acting silly, quit acting crazy. And it just hurt my little feelings, And I went running to my room, boo-hooing, and my grandma came in there and consoled me. And she told me, she understood what I was doing. And she told me she knew why I was doing it. And I told her, I said, "I don't even know why I do it, Grandma." And she said, "You just have that connection, you have that bond." And she said, "And I'll tell you about it, and I'll teach you about it." And that was the start of our, witchy connection. And I was probably 5 years old then, and that one thing stuck in my mind. And after that, I kind of just stuck with my grandma, and she taught me, and that's how I learned. And that's how I learned about creating my own spell. And I always thought that was just the greatest thing. I remember when I was little, and the first time I made a spell on my own, I really just made a big old mess is what I made, but I was so proud of myself and I felt so good. And to be honest, I don't even remember if it worked, but it had to have worked because it made me happy, and you know, I felt so much love, and I felt so much, I was just proud of myself. And after that, I started, creating more spells and more spells, and I started doing a lot more writing, and you know, I had friends that would always, ask me to create a spell for them, and I used to think, that was the silliest thing because anyone can do it. It takes no special talent. It's from your heart. But I would do it because they were my friends, and I just loved doing witchy things, and I loved writing, so I would always do it. And I would try to tell them, and just like I'm gonna tell you, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. It could just be you saying a few words, and that's a spell. It could be you writing a few words down on a piece of paper. That's a spell. And everything is intention. Everything is intention. But the other things that we do, like the ritualistic things that we do to go along with it, that adds energy and power to those spells to help move them along. But they're not necessary to manifest your intentions. And like I always say, if you only believe, you will receive. And that's all manifesting an intention is believing in your idea, believing in your desire. It's in your heart. Putting your heart and your soul into something that you desire, something you want, something you need, and then seeing it as if it's already taken effect. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make in doing, pre-written spells, and also, homemade spells, is, when they go to try to manifest their intentions, they'll say, I wish, and I hope, and, I'm gonna try, but, that's where you're messing up. You forgot to always speak like it's already in effect, it's happening, or it's already happened. If you've done a money spell, and you don't say, I hope I come into some money. You say, I have come into some money. I'm coming into money. Money's on the way. I'm going to get X amount of dollars. It's just that simple. You're almost setting yourself up for disaster when you kind of, you speak it and you're not sure. Your words are a very powerful thing, so choose them wisely, and, speak with positive energy, speak with, determination. Make sure when you say it like it's happened. It's happening, it's in effect, But creating the spell, I always, I just say follow your heart, and my thing is stones. I always, every spell that I do, I always incorporate stones, and everything I do that's witchy, I incorporate stones. Everything that I do just in my day-to-day life, I incorporate stones. I mean, I love stones. My grandmother, she brought my attention to stones. Coming from the mountains, there was always so many pretty, stones and crystals to be found. And You know, she learned me about, you know, stones and minerals and things like that. But to begin with, it was all because of the beauty of them. But then as I got a little older, she started teaching me of the properties and of the benefits of them. And then maybe around the age of 14, I got this bright idea one day, like, why not incorporate them into my spells? And ever since then, if I do a spell, whether it's one that's pre-written or one that I make up homemade, it's going to have at least one stone in it, you know. But like I said, you know, there's no right way, there's no wrong way, there's only your way. So if you don't care for stones, or you feel that stones aren't needed, don't put the stones in there, you know. Some people are more drawn to using herbs, but, you know, I use them also, but stones are my thing, you know. And like, this is just jasper, a piece of jasper, and, you know, it's one of my favorite. I talk about it all the time, but it's just like an overall good stone. Protection, grounding, you know, and different jaspers have other different, you know, properties, but it's a long-acting stone, you know. Even after you finish your work with that stone is still working, you know, in your favor. So jasper's a really great stone. And another one that I like to use is, you know, salt. And I guess, you know, that's one of those, is it a stone or is it a herb? Or it can be used as both. But this is like the pink Himalayan salt, just pieces, little chunky pieces. And I use this, you know, in my spells when I'm using it as a herb, you know, for cleansing, protection, you know. It can be used for so many different things. And then, you know, I also like pieces like this I add. These, you know, to me, this is a stone when it's at this point. And, you know, just as when you're using it as a herb, you know, it's cleansing and it's protective. You know, it's another great one. And I just really love, you know, it's earthy feeling. And I guess all stones are grounding to a point because they're from the earth. And, you know, I just love incorporating stones. But like I said, if stones aren't your thing, you don't have to use stones. That's the beauty of, you know, this craft and creating your own spell. You know, if you want to use stones, use stones. If not, you know, don't. And like I said, you know, creating your own spell, you could just sit down and speak a few words, and that's your spell. Or if you want to get elaborate with it and you want to use candles, you can use colored candles, you know, whatever color corresponds with what you're trying to achieve. But, you know, like I said, you don't have to have lots of fancy ingredients or tools. You know, if you want to use candles and you don't have a bunch of different colors, grab your white candle. You know, if you want to use essential oils, use essential oils. If you want to, I've seen people use, you know, coins. I've seen people use, you know, sticks. I've seen people use, you know, pieces of twine, you know, whatever you feel, you know, is going to enhance the intention you're trying to manifest, you know, you use that. And if for some reason you want to use a particular ingredient or a particular item in your spell, and you have no earthly idea why you want to use that, but your heart's telling you to use that, follow your heart. You know, it doesn't matter. Use it. And, you know, there's all kinds of magic. There's elemental magic. There's chaos magic. There's hoodoo. There's voodoo. There's what I have heard, you know, people refer to as Christian witches, I don't quite get that, but to each their own. I don't judge. And there's all kinds of magic, and I can't stress enough, there's no right way and there's no wrong way. Everything is just in your intention. And, this day and age with the internet, you can look up anything and read a little bit and, gain knowledge of anything. And, that's all you need. Just, a little knowledge, follow your heart, and manifest that intention, and you've got a spell. You don't have to do anything big, elaborate. You don't have to go spend lots of money. You don't have to wear no, robe or no headdress or have, people watching you. You can just go in your bedroom and sit down on your bed and do a spell. You can walk out to the woods and do a spell. You can walk out on your back porch. I've done it so many times and do a spell. You could be in your car and you stop for a few minutes, do a spell. And like I said, you don't have to read from a book. You don't have to follow a pre-written one. You can follow your heart, and whatever is in your heart to do, to manifest your intention, that's all you do to do a spell. They are spells that have been done and been passed down over years and years and years that have gained power and energy. And, the goddess blesses, things, and the goddess blesses people, and there's certain spells that the goddess, prefers us to perform for certain things, and I know they're important to use certain spells for certain things, but when you're manifesting something, an intention of your own, and you want to do your own spell, I say go for it, because no one knows you like you. No one has your energy but you. No one is more determined and has more desire for that particular intention than you, because it's your intention. And, that's why I say, homemade spells are the best spells. And not only that, when you're performing a spell and you use your own ingredients, tools that maybe you've made, things that you decided you wanted to put in it special, whatever reason, all of that is coming from your heart. All of that is coming from within you. And that's what makes a spell the most powerful spell, is that it's coming from your heart, and it's your intention, it's your energy. So, like I said, all you have to do, it is the simplest thing, working magic. All you have to do is believe, and you will receive. And other than that, have gratitude and follow your heart. Those three things: believe, to receive, have gratitude, and follow your heart. Why wouldn't you do something that benefits you in your life that's so simple? Well, we'll talk to you later. Bye.